Hi everyone, welcome back to my Elden Ring series where I make a build for every melee weapon in the game. In this episode, I'll be covering the Longsword. This weapon is a straight sword that requires 10 strength and dexterity to wield, and it can be acquired by purchasing it from the Twin Maiden husks at the Round Table Hold. For this build, I am using a faith-based setup with a flame art-infused longsword in my main hand and a giant seal in my offhand for casting incantations. I am using the Flaming Strike Ash of War, which allows us to throw a sheet of fire in front of us and execute a follow-up attack to coat our weapon in flames. I essentially made this build with a sort of hybrid melee and spellcaster playstyle in mind. I think the longsword is one of the best weapon choices if you want to make a character that leans heavily into sorceries or incantations, because it is light, reliable, and has low physical stat requirements. This also applies to all infusible straight swords, and I would say that this class in general is pretty good for spellblade builds. The longsword in particular, however, is among the best for elemental infusions, so that's ultimately what I wanted to explore with this video. I decided to focus on pyromancies for my spells and leaned into the theme of a sort of fire knight character. Obviously, the fact that we get to wield a flaming sword thanks to our Ash of War reinforces this theme, but I will mention that you can make this build work with other types of spells as well with just a few small changes. So as we go through the game fighting regular enemies and bosses, we have a lot of attack options at our disposal, which helps keep things fresh and interesting. First off, we have the Flaming Strike weapon skill, which can be used either before battles to buff our sword with fire, or as I personally prefer, can be used as an actual attack, allowing us to do damage and buff simultaneously. We also have the regular one-handed straight sword moveset, which is simple but effective. I like both the light and heavy attacks, as the light attacks provide quick sweeping swing attacks, and the heavy attack is a strong poking thrust. And of course, our flashiest attack options are our pyromancies. In particular, the incantations that I chose to incorporate are Giant's Flame Take Thee, Flame of the Fell God, and Burn, O Flame. All of these spells hit incredibly hard with the right build, and they make our character feel extremely powerful. Seriously, it's insane how much damage some of these do when fully charged, even without buffs. I would say Giant's Flame Take Thee is probably my go-to bread and butter spell, and honestly, I think this is probably my favorite spell in the entire game. It does a ton of damage, can hit multiple enemies at once if they are close enough together, and has the potential to ragdoll smaller and even medium-sized enemies, which looks absolutely hilarious. We can also buff ourselves with spells like Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength if we so choose, but I didn't really bother to most of the time. For my stats, at level 150, I have 50 Vigor, 35 Mind, 24 Endurance, 10 Strength, Dexterity, and Intelligence, 80 Faith, and 10 Arcane. Vigor and Endurance are important here as they are with any build, and I think these numbers are fine enough for our playstyle and equipment. Having High Mind is crucial for this build if you plan to use the spell lineup I chose, since all of them are pretty expensive in terms of FP. If you aren't as big on spells, I would recommend taking some of the points out of Mind and going up to 60 Vigor. Faith is of course our primary damage stat since we are using the Flame Art Infusion and Pyromancies, so I of course went to the soft cap of 80. As I mentioned earlier, I selected to use the Giant Seal as my catalyst, which doesn't do quite as much raw damage as the Erdtree Seal at our level, but it does boost the fire incantations we are using, so it ends up doing more damage with these particular spells. And of course, it fits the theme. For my armor set, like I said, I wanted to make my character look the part of a knight that wields the power of fire, so this is the outfit I went for. I have the Banished Knight helm, the altered Banished Knight chest armor, the Banished Knight gauntlets, and the Raging Wolf greaves. I would have used the Banished Knight greaves to complete this set, but the boots on them just look so goofy it honestly makes our character look like they have duck feet. For my talismans, I am using the Phlox Canvas Talisman for a boost to the damage of all of our incantations. I also have the Godfrey Icon to boost our charge spell damage. Out of the spells I'm using, both the Giant's Flame Take Thee and Burn O Flame are chargeable, and in my opinion they really shine the most when they are charged, so this talisman rewards us for taking the time to do so. I also have the Fire Scorpion Charm to boost all of our many sources of fire damage at the cost of some defense. I am usually wary of using the Scorpion Charm talismans, especially if you are a newer player, but I think it pays off well enough to be worth it in this case. And finally, I have the Dragon Crest Great Shield for more defense, which helps offset the negative effect of the Fire Scorpion Charm. For the Flask of Wonders Physic, I am of course using the Flame Shrouding Crack tier for even more fire damage, as well as the Green Burst Crystal tier for more stamina regeneration. And that is going to wrap up this longsword build video. Here is an overview of our setup from the menu screen. Thank you for watching, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.